And as we mark International Day of Persons with Disability, and the theme empowering persons with disabilities and ensuring inclusiveness and equality, this morning we've been joined by Safia Musa, who is GESI and Capacity Building Officer at Star Ghana, as well as Adam Wahab, who is the Communication Officer of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled. Good morning. Good morning, Adam, and good morning, Safia.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing well.
Very, very well. Thank you.
Great. So let me start off with you, Adam. It's important because we're looking at, we're celebrating the day for persons with disability, and the theme is empowering persons with disability and ensuring inclusiveness and equality. Do you get that feeling in Ghana that there's inclusiveness and equality when it comes to persons living with disability?
Thank you very much to your listeners and everybody, including myself. As far as we are concerned, I don't want to believe that we have that feelings of inclusiveness and equality. But let me just be clear on something. The international theme is where we have here. Ghana, we have modified the theme a little. Instead of saying empowering persons with disabilities and ensuring inclusiveness and equality, we say ensuring accessibility and inclusiveness. So we put the equality aside. And the reason for that is that, when it comes to the disability communities, nothing is going to be possible without accessibility. Education, we need accessibility. Health, we need accessibility. Basically, everything that we do before we be able to enjoy our rights as persons with disability, the key over here is accessibility.
Don't you have accessibility in Ghana?
Ghana accessibility is a problem.
What's the problem?
After the passage of the Act 715, which stipulated in Section 6 and 60 that all public buildings should be made accessible to persons with disabilities. And there was 10 years grace period given. That is what we refer to as the moratorium provision of the Act. That one expired 2016. But nothing much has been done. And the National Standards Authority was one of the failure as far as the process is concerned. Because we needed standards to be able to measure the ramps and accessibility facilities. But it took the National Standards Authority 10 years to be able to come out with the National Accessibility Standards. Interestingly, just as the moratorium provision was expiring, that was the time they also came to launch the standard. And it's very funny here. We have launched the Ghana Building Codes. Even though we launched the accessibility standards in 2016, how far have we used them as a country? How far have we gone with it? So for me, the launch of even the building codes that we have claimed we have launched, unless we decide to say that, yes, we want to implement it, then we make it a condition to maybe contractors. You have to ensure that A, B, C, and D is done before you are paid fully. When we do that, then we will be able to. But just to have the document alone is nothing. So to me, I want to say that as far as accessibility is concerned, Ghana is rated at, 0%. I'm very confident.
What about inclusiveness, Safia?
Thank you very much, Winston. Inclusiveness. So you see that even the international team and the local team are very emphatic about that subject, inclusiveness. If we recognize that we live in a country of diverse citizens with diverse abilities, diverse experiences, and diverse realities, then we should be putting in place steps and processes and programs to ensure that everybody is fully participating in our country's development processes.
Okay.
One of the unique groups would be the family of persons with disability, and under it, they are also very diverse. There are the visually impaired, there are the physically, challenged groups, hearing impairments, a lot of them. and to ensure that we are not moving and leaving this group of people, and I tell you, they are about 10% of our population. To ensure that we are not leaving behind this chunk of our population, we need to be working in very inclusive ways. How do we do that? One of it is very critical, which is the accessibility component of it. We have educational facilities, health facilities, judiciary offices, government, and departments and agencies. They all have their offices, and they are supposed to be providing services to all of our citizens. If that barrier, physical barrier, is created for some category of people to be able to access services, what it implies is that this percentage of our population are left out in accessing quality education, accessing healthcare, judicial services, and all of those. And that means that deliberately we are leaving this huge population behind. Last Friday, we heard a sad story of one Mr. Alex Tete, who was prevented from entering Parliament to observe proceedings. That was a very, very sad incident.
Parliament has apologized.
They have.
They say they are not aware.
Yes.
But that notwithstanding, it shouldn't happen.
It should never have happened. But here's the thing. I know Parliament would never have sanctioned a thing like this. I actually heard the communications director at Parliament, Madam Kate Addo, discuss it, and she was very apologetic about it. But the fact is, what it tells us is that we are a country that is not conscious about our uniqueness as a people. It means that our institutions and our policies and our practices are not clearly communicating the need to be inclusive in our processes. The police officer who turned him away, he should have been trained better. He should have known that, fine, there are protocols, but that the protocols makes provisions for people with special needs. Madam Kate actually explained that for persons with disability, there's a special passage, a special way for them to access the chambers. They take them through a back door, and that is still a problem. It just tells you that the creation of that route for persons with disability to get into Parliament was an afterthought. It's not supposed to be that way. From the design of our public structures, our programs and everything, these groups, they should be in mind, and we should plan and know that, okay, there would be time that we could have members of Parliament that would need physical support. There could be times that people with disability would want to walk into Parliament. And at the time of developing the structure, the architecture, and all of that, it should have been informed and the structures made accessible to everybody.
Adam, so as we mark this day, any special program you've put in place to celebrate the day?
Yes, we have very special programs. Actually, we are going to have a flute. So the flute will begin from the Accra Rehabilitation Center, where our office is located. And the flute will lead us to 3 ministries. We will visiting Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Ministry of Roads and Highways, and then Works and Housing. The purpose of visiting those ministries is to present petition to them about the accessibility status in Ghana now, because if you look at it, we have also ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and Article 9 of the Convention actually enjoins us as a country to ensure that environment is made accessible to persons with disabilities. Now, the 3 ministries, we believe they are in charge of infrastructure development like roads, network, and then buildings and whatever. The Ministry of Gender is part because it is the ministry under which disability falls. So the campaign begins from there, and after that, we will see what happens. This time, GFD is not going to joke. With the support of other relevant organizations, we want to take legal actions against people who fail to comply with the certain provisions of the Act. And we will be starting from the government institutions. Left with me alone, we have even started with the Ministry of Gender.
Oh, you want to start with them?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We need to be honest to ourselves.
They have failed.
Why do you say that we are managing issues about disabilities? Yes, your ministry is not accessible. So if me as a person with disability is coming to see the minister, where do you meet me?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Finally, from you, Safia, any special way that Star Ghana is supporting them?
Yes.
I know this program is supported by Star Ghana with funding from UKAID, EU, and Danida, but any special thing you're doing?
Yes.
Sure, tell us.
So we are actually part of today's procession that Wahab has described. There's a civil society movement on social inclusion that was facilitated by Star Ghana. This movement has membership of about 80 organizations, plus some individuals that have interest in promoting social inclusion in our country. One of our key campaigns has been the subject of removing physical barriers to accessing public infrastructure in our country. And so we are supporting GFD. GFD is one of the conveners of the movement to organize today's procession. We are happy to see that gradually Ghanaian citizens, are becoming more and more assertive. The community of persons with disability, they really understand their rights now, and they want to enjoy it. And they are screaming for response from the end of the government. So we are happy to see that today's procession is happening, and our interest is to see response from the states in ensuring that the act is fully implemented and that persons with disability are well integrated in our development processes.
Exactly. We'll also be following up to ensure that the right things are done. That's all time would allow us. Thank you very much, Adam Wahab, who's Communications Director of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled. And thank you also, Safia Musa, who is GESI and Capacity Building Officer of Star Ghana. Now, this program is made possible. It's supported actually by Star Ghana with funding from EU, UKAID, and Danida.